Hi, I'm Sarah Alexander, and this is my case study, Get This Kid Out of My Room. We will be looking at a third grade student who is receiving special education services and is currently demonstrating aggressive behaviors towards adults in the classroom. We will look at what we know, what we need to know, and then really hone in on what the problem is. First of all, what we know is that Carl is a third grade student. He is receiving special education and he qualified under behavior disorder. And his parents have recently gone through a divorce. He previously showed behaviors that were harmful towards himself. This behavior has changed and he is now aggressive towards the classroom teacher. Susan Green is his special education teacher. This is her first year in the district and also her first job as a special education teacher. She is replacing a previous teacher who was there for 25 years. Mrs. Nancy Taylor is Carl's general education teacher. This is her 10th year teaching, and this is occurring in the Fulton School District. This school is called Schuyler Comprehensive, where resources for this building are shared within 16 districts. These resources include social worker services and school psychologist. Their hierarchy in the building is a little different. There is one district superintendent, and then there are teachers that are designated as assistant superintendents. We know that there was just a meeting that occurred with the parents and this assistant superintendent along with the two teachers to discuss how to respond to Carl's change in behavior. A couple of things that we need to know when looking at this case study are what are additional resources that are available in the district. We know that there are resources that are shared throughout multiple districts, but what exactly is there to offer as far as counseling or possible social work services? Also, what preventative factors does Carl have currently in place? We don't know anything about his friendships, extracurriculars. We don't know if there are any courses that he really enjoys, any adults that he connects with at school. We also do not know what replacement behaviors or emotion management strategies are being taught to Carl or to the entire building, all of the staff or all of the students. In addition to this, we are not sure exactly what changed in the relationship with Mrs. Taylor. In particular, we do know these new behaviors are directed towards her, and we do know that his parents have recently gone through a divorce. But is there anything else that has occurred with Mrs. Taylor that might cause this aggression towards her? When looking at the problem, I broke it down into 3 separate problems. We have a student who is showing very aggressive behaviors towards adults in the school setting. We have a classroom teacher and a special education teacher who are not seeing eye to eye. Following a parent meeting, we know that the classroom teacher believes that the special education teacher should be handling this situation. We also have a problem that the parents are supporting the school's decision, but they are doing this in an apathetic manner, and they are not really collaborating with the team to come up with a plan. My course of action includes directly following this parent meeting, I would want to have a meeting with the 2 teachers. The most important piece of this is that both teachers are able to work in a collaborative relationship. Currently, each staff member feels that it's the other person's job to respond to these behaviors. So we need to discuss both teachers' concerns. We need to come up with what is our common goal for Carl. And I think during this conversation, we will learn that both teachers want the exact same thing. They want Carl to be successful. They want to feel safe in the classroom. They want their students to feel safe in the classroom. So creating this working relationship is the very first step. In addition to this, during this meeting, I would want us to develop a plan together for the safety of all students and for the safety of Carl. And in this plan would include preventative factors that can be incorporated to help Carl. This plan should be a team effort. It should not be the special education teacher or the general education teacher on their own. The leadership strategies I would use during this stage would be relationship building, communication skills, empathetic listening, questioning, and conflict resolution. After this, During this plan development, again, we will go through the preventative factors to incorporate. We will develop this plan together, and we will document the behaviors and the antecedents as part of this plan. Then I would like to circle back to collaborating with parents. We need to discuss the concerns related to the student and also talk about what kind of supports we can put in place to support not only Carl, but what can we do to support the family. The mother mentioned that she was working very hard to put food on the table. Could this family possibly qualify for free and reduced lunches? And maybe reaching out to the parents individually at this stage might be more beneficial just for gathering this information. The strategies utilized during these two phases include relationship building, communication skills, and that empathetic listening. I then would want to focus on repairing that relationship with the classroom teacher and Carl. The classroom teacher and Carl need to be meeting individually to talk about what changes are going on, build this relationship, build a trusted relationship with the classroom teacher. During this conversation, I would want the classroom teacher to ask Carl who is a trusted adult in the building, and then also compassionately discuss with him his behaviors when he's escalated, discuss how she feels in the situation, how students are feeling, and really build that relationship with Carl. After this, I would want to, based on that conversation with Carl, I would want to identify one staff member that can really focus on building that relationship with Carl. I would want a daily check-in, daily check-out. This could be a specials teacher. This could be any teacher in the building that can process through situations with Carl when he is upset or even when he is calm. During this stage, I would use empathetic listening, relationship building, emotion regulation strategies, and communication skills, and then also building to instructional capacity and getting everyone on board, not just the classroom teacher or the general education teacher, to help support this student. There also needs to be an education piece for Carl and for other students in the building, including teaching replacement behaviors, emotion regulation strategies. This could be done in the classroom-wide setting. This could be done individually. In addition to educating the students, there needs to be some more education for the staff. There needs to be education as far as the joint ownership of students, that a student is not a SPED student or a Gen Ed student. We are all working together to help support all of our students. We also need to review some laws related to services, such as least restrictive environment, making changes to that IEP without parent consent. That's concerning. Discussing restraining. That's also concerning. We need to have some training on what that looks like and our legal aspects related to that. During this stage, I would be building staff capacity, building on staff interest, encouraging joint ownership, and then just that teaching piece. Then we would need to implement the plan with fidelity that we have developed as a team. This would occur after approval from parents. This would include documentation, and we want to make sure that there are both the preventative measures in this plan and the reactive piece. We want students to all feel safe, including Carl and including other staff as well. During this stage, I would be using relationship building, behavior modification, and ownership of behaviors and teaching that. Part of this plan might include needing to be removed from the classroom. So what exactly will that look like? That needs to be part of our plan. When resolving this concern while promoting student success, this was shown through mending special education and general education teachers' relationships and collaborating. That was step one as far as making a plan that will work for both and creating a collaborative relationship. Also, creating joint ownership in student success instead of the general education teacher saying, you have to do something with Carl. This would look like a team effort. Developing this plan should be happening together, not just Susan developing this plan by herself. And then student success was also promoted during emotion management education. This will benefit Carl and every other student in the building. As I was working through this problem, I was thinking about what is best for Carl. What are we doing to prevent and help solve this concern rather than just react? We need both pieces. We need preventative, we need reactive. what is impacting this behavior change? We need to get into that, and we need to really dive in and find more information. And how is this impacting other students? Well, the behavior is not directed towards students currently. I'm sure seeing their teacher have things thrown at her, that can still be scary even if it's not directed towards them. We want our students to feel safe. I was valuing partnerships and collaboration with family, staff, students. I was also valuing social emotional learning, which is just as important as academic learning. And then also valuing these teacher-student relationships. I was feeling disappointed for the student and lack of adults and support. Right now, it doesn't seem like anyone is fighting for him. Everyone is just reacting to a problem. And also feeling empathy towards the classroom teacher. This has to be frustrating. It's very clear that she is feeling unsupported. I was also feeling devoted to help and support not only the student, but the staff and the parents. Some unresolved concerns include discipline responses to behaviors. The previous education teacher, special education teacher, put him into a detention room with a workbook. What kind of responses to his behaviors will we have? Staff education related to special education, they were wanting to make changes to the IEP without having a parent meeting, which is not okay. Also, training related to restraining. There were two comments made in that article as far as he's a bit too big for me to restrain and we need to find a male teacher to accompany. Are these staff members trained is my first question. When reflecting on Standard 2, academic success was promoted during step number 1 when discussing least restrictive environment and gaining access to the general education curriculum and learning. Also in action step number 6, where there is education for all students related to social emotional learning. And action step number 7, where the behavior plan is implemented with fidelity. Other students' learning is being impacted, and by implementing action step number 7 with the behavior plan, hopefully we will preserve that learning environment for all students. Student well-being was addressed through step number 1, where collaborating with general and special education teachers, where we are discussing common goals for not only Carl, but for other students in the classroom. This also was included during the preventative measures. This will help not only Carl, but every student in his class. It was also demonstrated during step number 6, the education piece, with teaching emotion regulation strategies not only to Carl, but to every student. These strategies can travel with a student for the rest of their lives. These skills are very important. And action plan step number 5, when building relationship with a trusted adult, these daily check-ins, we need to have Carl connected to someone. We need to have him build a trusted relationship with an adult in our building. That is vital. And instructional capacity was addressed in action plan step number 1 when we are meeting with the general education staff and the special education staff to create a working relationship. It was concerning in the case study as far as the special education teacher was saying that this should be handled by the gen ed teacher. The gen ed teacher was saying this needed to be handled by the special education staff. And we really need to work together for all of our students. And they are not their students or their students, they are our students. Instructional capacity was also addressed in action step number 6, the education piece, where again there is that staff joint ownership, and also the education piece where students are taught emotion management strategies. A lot of times we might not be incorporating this in our everyday life and everyday education setting, and it needs to be. It should be interwoven in everything that we are communicating and teaching our students. And also instructional capacity was addressed in action plan step number 5, where we are building relationships with a trusted adult, and this can be any adult in our building. Overall, we need to be making sure that Carl's needs are met and every student in our building needs are being met, and our staff is feeling supported, and we are a collaborative team. Thank you so much for listening.